Hello, everyone, dear friends. Today we have an incredible broadcast. An extraterrestrial civilization from Alpha Centauri has made contact. I was very happy to hear from her because information about the extraterrestrial civilization of Alpha Centauri has been coming to me for a long time, indicating that their presence here is becoming more apparent. For your information, Alpha Centauri is a star system, the closest star system to our planet and our sun in our galaxy. So, the representatives of Alpha Centauri are our closest neighbors. They are so close to us that scientists have even been able to confirm that there is a planet there, and that there could potentially be life on this planet as it is located in the habitable zone. And today, Enrico, we will be communicating with representatives of this very civilization. We will learn what is happening with them, where they live, how their society is structured, how many civilizations are present on their planet, and how many habitable planets there are in total. And what's most interesting is how they are currently connected to humans. What incredible message they want to convey to humanity. They want to convey from themselves. I will talk about that interesting, incredible technology of space travel through the subtle plane, through quantum space, which my curators from the Pleiades taught me just a few days ago. One of my curators, Aroman Natur, when I asked him the question, Aroman, how can I to contact extraterrestrial civilizations more clearly? I want to see everything more clearly, more. It's colorful because sometimes you sit down to meditate, enter into channeling, and your brain just shuts off and you fall asleep. Well, in particular, and he showed me how contact works, how our brain works, because each of us has our own encryption system that allows the information we receive to be transformed into something we understand. So, each person has their own encryption machine in their head, based on personal individual patterns. If you're interested in how the brain works and how our consciousness encrypts information, I will tell you about that too. But first, we will get to know this civilization. Before this broadcast, I used a new technique that the Pleiadians gave me. I went to their planet. Yes, you heard that right. There is a technique that the Pleiadians gave me called the flying saucer with a Merkaba inside. They explained to me how to create an energy flying saucer using certain energy manipulations. Yes, it seems absurd, and you might think, what nonsense after all, saucers should be physical. But not always. So, the very shape of the flying saucer, why it was chosen by extraterrestrial civilizations for travel, is not just a coincidence. Because the body of the flying saucer acts as a focusing concave lens. Yes, the body of the saucer is made of special metals that form two concave lenses. In this way, they refract their light and focus them at a central point. At that moment, a certain field is formed at the center, which makes it possible to create a stable Merkaba field. And there the upper and lower energy circuits start to rotate. And the Merkaba field is activated, which envelops the entire saucer in plasma and allows it to move any distance through time. And so, since our world is arranged in such a way, the physical is similar to what exists on the subtle plane, it is possible through a certain meditative technique. And by following a special sequence, to create such a saucer around yourself on the subtle plane. To create such a saucer around yourself, activate the upper and lower energy circuits of the Merkaba and travel to any point in the cosmos. So this will be a transfer using consciousness. And consciousness, transferring to that specific moment, into that specific space and time, makes contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. Today, when I set off to Alpha Centauri, to that star system, I was welcomed there. They were waiting for me. They have been waiting for us humans for a long time. They are watching us. And today we will have the opportunity to talk And perhaps not just with one civilization, but with two. I'll share what interesting things I managed to learn today. Let's start from the beginning. Why would you even want to listen to all of this? You can actually listen to me even if you don't believe in all of this. If you don't believe in either esotericism or aliens, you can listen to me purely out of curiosity, because even if we could imagine that all of this is just my fantasy and made up, some people still enjoy listening to interesting stories. So I ask you to please treat this information as to what should resonate right here in your heart. Because different contactees see and understand things differently, and the discrepancies in this understanding can be quite significant. I'll share a little bit. Closer to the end of our broadcast, I'll explain why this is happening. And at the end, perhaps, we will do some very interesting meditation. So, make sure to watch until the end. It will be about what we can discuss later in the comments. So, Alpha Centauri is located, as you understood, in the constellation Centaurus. Why is it called Alpha, and what kind of system is it anyway? Alpha Centauri is a system of 3 stars, not 2. Today, when I flew there, they showed me and said there are 3 stars, a triple star system. So, there is Alpha Centauri A, the letter A, and Alpha Centauri B. So, around Alpha Centauri B, there is a planet where our aliens come from. There are also planets orbiting Alpha Centauri A, and there are habitable planets there too, meaning there are several habitable planets. They are inhabited by different civilizations, not just one. Since initially there was no life in Alpha Centauri in this system, life began there on the planets, but there were no intelligent beings, meaning they came later and populated that planet. Because life began there underwater, in the ocean. And as I was shown today, in the ocean underwater, they have inhabitants who also became intelligent through natural evolution. Some of them came to the surface, some of them met with other civilizations, formed hybrids, and settled in that territory. You can also ask about their ancient history if you're interested. I haven't had the chance to ask everything yet. They have it down to a science. But I will definitely do that. And later on my Telegram channel, I'll share the details of what I've managed to find out. So it's beneficial for you to find the link to my Telegram channel and subscribe to it. Because I will be posting additional information on my Telegram channel. So where do I have that link? I'll show you later. In the Alpha Centauri system, the 3rd star is Proxima Centauri. By the way, why is it called Alpha? You know, I recently read some interesting information in the chat. One woman writes, "We conducted some kind of research on the subtle plane. We flew to Alpha Centauri and there's some very evil technogenic civilization living there. That's the civilization that controls humanity. They have taken over our world. And they created Alpha Bank, that's why it's called that, because it's named after Alpha Centauri." And I'm thinking, oh my God, can this really happen? So how can people think like that, right? So people came up with the word alpha. Where did it come from? It's just a Greek letter, the alpha of the alphabet. And when our astronomers want to name a constellation, they choose the biggest star in this constellation is said to be Alpha. The second largest is Beta. The third is Theta, and so on. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Theta, and Delta. And they name them according to the Greek alphabet. There's nothing here. You know, the idea of evil intent or a connection with Alpha Bank sounds absurd to me. It's so absurd that it even becomes funny. Not because someone said it, but because it's truly amazing how completely unrelated things can just mix together in someone's head. I'll explain where this comes from, why such unrelated things get connected. In fact, Alpha exists in any constellation. Alpha of the great dog, Alpha of the great bear. So Alpha is the main star in the constellation, and there's no connection at all with any alpha banks. But I'll explain where it all comes from. Often people who get into channeling and contact work, they dive into sleep states, they dive into clairvoyance without any experience or professional knowledge and skills. And that is why the first entities that come to them. These entities resonate on the same vibrational level as these people. These entities scan their fears. And they can also be aliens, but not all aliens are benevolent. Extraterrestrial beings can be parasitic on a subtle level. It's beneficial for them if a person is afraid. They want to feed on the energy of fear, energy. Victims and helplessness. That's why they instill in the people who contact them that the whole world is taken over. Oh my God, Alpha Bank, they made everything up. Oh dear, the Pleiades, the bad ones. The Pleiades are evil, meaning they turn everything upside down and start instilling all sorts of nonsense. At that point, yes, you can almost say with 100% certainty that negative civilizations can be distinguished. And, well, since I've touched on this topic, in our time when the amount of information on the internet is becoming enormous, it's very hard to tell apart which of it is a lie, which is the truth. I'll give you a few important criteria that you can use to check. The first is what vibration the information carries. So you need to ask the question, what vibration does the information carry? So, a person who says you are all taken over, that the earth is under the control of some forces, you have no say on earth. Aliens are controlling you, and they control everything. They have programmed something there, they are preparing something, some kind of virus or cataclysm for you. What vibrations does this information carry? That's the first question you need to answer. The second question, who benefits cannot get from you believing in this? Who benefits from you emitting vibrations of this kind? That is, if fear is instilled, the feeling of victimhood, if a sense of helplessness is instilled, it's who benefits from this? That's the second question. Because some people say, I am in contact with the Absolute Father. He told me that these certain people are bad and that I shouldn't go to them. I, the Absolute Father, am talking to you, so don't go to those. These ones are good and those are bad. Or those invaders, those reptilians, and these are not even people. They're just phantoms. So how do you distinguish this? It's very simple to ask the question, who benefits from everyone thinking this way? Well, if fear is being instilled, it means someone is coming and doing the instilling. For what purpose? The higher powers of light never instill fear in people. They never give. The higher powers of light never run away from or warn about negative predictions. Oh my God. Now you're all going to be overwhelmed. You're all going to die. Everything is going to be terrifying. So they never do this because it's called predictive programming. A person who heard negative predictions and believed in them all has already given up his free will. He is no longer able to choose, and the higher powers of light do not do so. Therefore, it is necessary to understand immediately that the higher powers of light never propagate that you are people, dirty, bad sinners. You are engaging in sex, and sex is bad, dirty, it's terrible. The higher powers of light do not promote this because they understand that our development is different. Theirs is different. Ours is different. They don't get involved in these matters and never give such advice. And this is done only by those who benefit from playing on fears, who benefit from playing on feelings of shame, on feelings of guilt. For example, those who instill the idea that making love between men and women is a dirty process. But it's beneficial for them to instill this so that people don't activate themselves, so they don't activate their creative potential, their Kundalini energy, and don't create life from it. Did you not recognize what a powerful force exists within each of us? So someone benefits from this, right? And sometimes it's beneficial from a business perspective. This is the last recommendation. So you should ask yourself, who will profit from this? Money. So there are these so-called experts who talk about Reiki, cosmoenergetics, all these divinations and nonsense. It's all evil. It's all terrible. They connect people to egregores. They drain energy from people. And then they say, but at my school, I teach like this and like that, and I have this and that. Come to my paid website, to my paid course. So you need to understand that this is not true. It's just a way of advertising. When a person, by comparing himself to others, he simply denies other tools for development, as if the only way is the way he says, and that's the only right way. It's just a struggle with competitors and marketing. There's nothing sacred or spiritual about this. Now, you already know this. Of course, I can give you even more criteria and distinctions. And if you're interested, at the end of the broadcast, I'll share a few more keys with you. Just remind me so I don't forget. And now we return to Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri, as I mentioned, is a triple system, meaning there are 3 stars there. The 2 stars, Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B, orbit close to each other. And one is a dwarf, a red dwarf. A red dwarf which orbits farther away from all of them. And it is closer to our solar system. So it's called Proxima Centauri, which translates from Latin as closest proxima. Planets orbit around these stars. Proxima Centauri, which is closest to us, is a red dwarf, and it's unstable. That is, it's quite cold, less than the sun. And therefore, it gave off enough heat to warm the planet must be relatively close. And the habitable planet around it orbits quite closely, so any wave of energy that comes from that star hits the planet instantly. So in the area of Proxima Centauri, as the aliens told me, there used to be an intelligent civilization that originated there, even 2. One was an ocean-born creature, that is, it descended from sea creatures, and the second was another branch of evolution that remained. They stayed in the sea, and it just so happened that on this small dwarf star, there was an explosion of very powerful force. And the representatives who lived on Proxima Centauri, some of them transformed into energy beings, meaning their physical bodies burned up in plasma. They themselves moved to the next stage of evolution and became star spirits. By moving into the crown of that planet, like into its energy field. And the oceans remained on the planet itself. And these oceans preserved life because they had a good enough shield against external radiation. Thanks to the thickness of the water, the metamorphoses were preserved there too. Inhabitants, right now. A technological civilization has settled on Proxima Centauri. That is, there now lives a civilization of hybrids, semi-cyborgs, who they live on the surface and they settled there quite recently. But there are still other planets suitable for habitation that are uninhabited. The hybrids that have settled on this planet are also not very friendly and are quite technological. So what does that mean? That means that house civilizations are ruled by robots. And they themselves are hybrids of biological organisms and robots. Such civilizations exist in space. Maybe someday we'll talk to them. But today, we will not be communicating with them, but with those who live near. Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. So there live these wonderful beings similar to the Siriusians, tall extraterrestrial beings whose skin color ranges from pale, like this blue, to red with some kind of, with some colors, a little bit of spots. Today, when I went to their planet, I was able to see how it is arranged. From the subtle plane, I saw this, so I can't say with 100% certainty that it's top percent, that's exactly how it was. But at least what I saw was purple. The surface of the planet. which is covered with vegetation of purple grass, meaning this specific color spectrum. Why did their plants choose to reflect that? Just like they are telling me now, we have magnesium at the base. This chlorophyll, and they have a substance similar to chlorophyll at its core, which is the energy receiver from the sun, is cobalt. And thanks to the cobalt compound, they are telling me now they are standing here. Thanks to cobalt compounds, their plants contain a violet pigment, which gives them such a blue-violet, sometimes blue color. So their plants vary: pink, purple, blue, and light blue. When I arrived, there was this pink grass, some trees, but I wouldn't say there was a lot of variety. I saw there were... What was there? Let me remind those who weren't paying attention, what does it mean that I flew there? I flew there, in the astral, in a subtle material space using a technique, the flying saucer that I was recently taught about. And there, passing through the atmosphere, I conducted such an analysis of the atmosphere. And I was given data that there is about 22% oxygen and about 77% nitrogen. So the atmosphere is very similar to ours. There are inert gases and there is little carbon dioxide. And yes, they are physical beings. They have a physical body just like you and me. So they have hands, legs, they are physical solid material, if you will. And when we made contact with them, they had such a protective field around the planet that they were making requests. What was the purpose of your arrival, so to speak? And I was with the Pleiadians. I said I'm a diplomatic ambassador from Earth and I need contactees who will relay information back to Earth about what's happening on your planet and how you interact with Earthlings. They were like, oh yes, sure, come in. And I was met there by representatives who are now here. But besides them, on their planet, as I managed to find out, there are also other races. And there are so-called races of underwater intelligent beings, underwater inhabitants. They have remained living underwater. And this is also an intelligent race that exists in harmony with those who live above water. We would call them mermaids, yes, like alien mermaids. Yes, but they, I would say that they don't resemble any kind of mermaids. And it's hard to say that they have any tails. I haven't communicated with them in detail yet, so I don't know specifics about their appearance. What's described here is somewhat similar, but we will communicate. So today we will have two representatives, two guests on Sirius.
Oh, I'm lying.
Alpha Centauri. And we will communicate with them. Now I will prepare for channeling. I will just need a little time to tune in. And if you came in a subtle body they can see you, then what dimension exists there? There are all dimensions there, just like we have. We humans are like blind moles. We only see what's in our burrow. We don't see what exists parallel to it. And highly developed extraterrestrial civilizations see more than we can see with our eyes. They see all spectra, vibrations of the subtle plane, that is what we call extrasensory perception. For them, this is a natural norm that they are born into. So it's no trouble for them to see that Yuri Fidrya has arrived in the form of a phantom energetically in the astral. They can see this right away, can communicate, and they can also leave their bodies using the same astral projection. Before coming into this space and just standing right behind me, it's easy for them. Right now they are here and standing. I'll come in now into a special state of meditation where I can contact them and start transmitting information. Synchronization is happening. Humanity, greet you. We have arrived from the star. Taluk. That's what it's called in our language. In your star charts, it is called Alpha Centauri B. Taluk is a relatively small star, smaller than yours. It emits special radiation spectra that allow us to absorb its energy through the skin of our bodies. So our nutrition is different from yours. We take part of our energy from the heat and light of the planet. Taluk for us, home star. Because at one time our race existed within this star. In the higher planes of vibrations, we were energetic beings of plasmic form, having reached a high level of development. But our race wished to solidify our matter to take on form, and we, the representatives of Taluk, arrived at the nearest planet in the habitable zone and began energetic influence on the local flora and fauna. In order to adjust the planet for our embodiment, our existence in energetic form lasted for many hundreds of thousands of years. By your standards, we had enough time to prepare intelligent beings for the embodiment of the soul. At that time, in this system, there were already living forms in the form of aquatic inhabitants. We made an agreement with them to take part of their DNA and mix it with ours. Our closest neighbors and relatives, Sirius, we, being still energetic beings, asked Sirius to become for us ancestors, giving us a part of their DNA. Thus, we descend from the local species of aquatic inhabitants. And the ancestral civilization of Sirius, who gave us their genes. On our planet, we have been developing separately for a long time, without entering into any interactions, without entering into any unions. We existed parallel to you, and sometimes we crossed paths and made contact. Our civilization is not as ancient as Sirius and the Pleiades. However, we have a lot of experience behind us. We have been around longer than your race, and we have accumulated knowledge that we were formed back when we lived underwater. Also, we inherited the knowledge and experience of the previous race that transitioned to higher vibrations on Proxima. Centauri, after its quantum transition, through a plasma burst on their star. After that, their global experience became part of our system. In our system, there are our own laws and orders, and we form our own, a miniature federation. It's not as big as the Galactic Federation of Light. This is a small galactic federation, a galactic community that is all united and consists of several planetary systems in our zone. This zone is very friendly towards the Galactic Federation of Light, and we have diplomatic and trade alliances. When the disaster happened in your solar system 13,000 years ago, when there was an attack, our civilization was also subjected. Attack Since we are on the border, both your and our planet, we are on the border of joints, zones, influence. And here, there is the influence of certain other cosmic races that oppose the Galactic Federation. That's why we were also affected by these conflicts. We discovered your planet quite a while ago, having contacted its representatives in previous times. The previous inhabitants of your planet, another high-level civilization, was also represented by people, but back then you knew, could, and were capable of much more than you are now. That form of civilization existed thousands of years ago, and that's why you don't remember it, as you have no data about it preserved. However, we were familiar with them and were friends with them. After your race began to develop its Stone Age all over again, we reduced the number of contacts. However, we continue to be present as observers, watching what is happening with you. We have a small group of contactees on Earth who interact with us. And there are also habitable planets in our system that can be populated by intelligent species and colonized. We will be happy for you when you gain the ability to make inter-system movement and will be able to travel from your star to ours. Our spaceships will be waiting for you. That's not all. I had some general information for you. But now a representative will speak to you from the Supreme Council of our planet, who is now, which now has new information that is relevant to your planet and the changes that we are observing. Greetings to you, Earthlings. My name is Qualta indeed. I represent the Council of our planet. We are your closest neighbors, and we are extremely concerned about the situation around Earth. We are observing what is happening here, and we want to tell you that your planet is of great importance to the galactic community. Our star formation, in conjunction with the Galactic Federation, forms a conglomerate. And indeed, your planet is approaching its quantum transition in terms of energies and vibrations. We also went through a quantum transition in our time, because our field of vibrations has long entered this zone. Now your planet is right on the edge of the field of vibrations that is driving your evolution. And we can give you a hint how to tune into it and what is happening around you. A world like yours is very rarely encountered. The biological diversity is incredible and unimaginable. There are very few planets with so many species. Different beings living in harmony with each other. And now, as you are on the brink of this transition, the whole galaxy is watching you, including us. We are very curious to see how you will handle the challenges that lie ahead of you. Because your civilization is on the brink. The area of influence of different conglomerates, galactic communities. On one side, the Galactic Federation Council, and on the other side, other alliances that are sometimes formed between unfriendly alliances, civilizations, technological civilizations, as well as races that do not share the concepts of freedom, love, and equality. And they also benefit from taking over your planet. But you must understand that there are galactic laws, that all intelligent beings in the galaxy are required to interact. There is a directive that states that contact with young races is prohibited. However, there are indirect ways of interaction through contact. Through influencing our planet. This influence is currently intensifying. Raising the vibrations of your star has reached a level where a quantum shift has become possible at any moment on a planetary scale. What does this mean for you? This means that at any moment, a supreme flow of energy can occur, which will very quickly give you evolutionary movement forward. And we want to warn you about that. What choice you will make. You have a choice. Yes, different directions for the future. One of them is where your civilization becomes part of the Galactic Federation of Light, develops, and eventually perhaps even becomes the capital of the Galactic Federation. Why is your race so important? Because it is of incredible scale, diplomatic project of unification and harmony. The DNA of beings is unnatural for this planet. Your ancestors evolved here, like monkeys, and then, upon making contact with other extraterrestrial races, they were, just like we have marine life, your local species are also connected to extraterrestrial beings. After receiving the DNA of aliens, you became human. Alien DNA flows in each of you. Alien DNA is individually present in every person. However, there is a difference between different people and different races of extraterrestrial civilizations from which they originated. You, living on the same planet, can sometimes be very different depending on the region where you live. Each of your ethnic groups traces its roots from hybridization with different extraterrestrial beings, your primordial ancestors, who helped you evolve by adding their DNA into you. And now, when you make your inner transition, your individual quantum transition, you will automatically give an evolutionary impulse to your forebears who were connected to you by DNA. The civilizations that gave you their DNA will evolve thanks to you. Unfortunately, not all alien civilizations were satisfied with the amount of genes they have in you. Some civilizations, like the reptilians and the greys, abducted people to create a hybrid species, taking particles from them, DNA. Thanks to the hard work, the Galactic Security Service has put a stop to these processes. But there are still many attempts. We are here to tell you Not about that, but about this. That you make choices every moment. Your human consciousness lives on the planet, as if in isolation. You're so immersed in your personal individual vibrations and experiences that for you, the whole world seems like just the box you've created in your head. Each individual has their own way of forming a specific conceptual framework through which you perceive reality. Your perception distorts reality, and that's why you see it in your own way, in your perspective. In this lies your incredible strength and uniqueness, and in this lies your biggest problem. If you don't learn to control this state, you won't gain strength. The uniqueness of humanity lies in how much it has inherited from different civilizations. The human race is so beautiful in its genetic diversity that by reaching a high level of enlightenment and making a quantum leap into positive vibrations, it will be able to give a powerful boost to the evolution of the entire galaxy, and then set an example for other extraterrestrial races on how to evolve. But one of the biggest problems you need to overcome is xenophobia and hatred towards each other. In these processes of hatred, sometimes you become unstoppable. When one people convinces themselves that they are better than another, and this thought reaches such an absurd level that you start physical destruction of each other, you create wars. This behavior, it doesn't align with a rational race. It resembles more of clan wars over territory like animals. And it has nothing to do with rationality. The power you possess as a galactic race is incredible. That evolutionary movement, which takes millions of years for many civilizations, you go through literally, in 100 years. In this, you are incredible. The power of your energy structure is also great. It is so great that if you strongly believe in your illnesses, your suffering, in your mortality, that's exactly how it will be. We live in our bodies without aging, and our lifespan is 700, 800 Earth years. You live 70, 80 years. Rarely 90 and very rarely 100. But that's very little for your body. You can live just as long as we do. But you have convinced yourself that you are mortal. You have convinced yourself that you are aging. You have convinced yourself that you must be sick. And that's how it happens. The foundation of everything is your beliefs. And they are the root cause of all problems. Your race is young. And it must go through these lessons in order to attain the first level of intelligence. The first level of intelligence is reached at the moment of awareness by each individual on your planet that the primary foundation of the entire existing universe is the energy of love. And no life is useless. Every intelligent and living being deserves life. And no conflicting circumstance should force us to destroy each other. You go through these lessons, and we cannot interfere with them. However, we can send you messages, communicate with you, interact, and make contact. We had our own contactees on Earth, and there used to be many of them. There are few left now. but we continue to maintain that contact. As part of this interaction, we sometimes are the place where the large ships are based before they arrive in your solar system. To prepare, we love you, and we are happy to be your neighbors. Are you entering the GFS? Yes. We are entering the GFS, and we have our own union within our star system. Now I can read your questions, and they will answer them. Landians. We, like other civilizations, participated in the creation of certain species on your Earth. We closely interacted with those beings you call Atlanteans, as they constantly visited our planet. In the subtle plane, since our star is relatively close to Earth, it's quite common to see how contactees come to us through the astral plane and interact. Right now, our guardianship on Earth is increasing as our kin energy, together with Sirius, is becoming a redirecting backup hub for the energy flow leading to Earth. Together with the race of our ancestors, along with the Syrians, we are doing deep light work to support the solar system. How is your day going? A day on our planet is a complete rotation around its axis. The duration of a day, 36 hours of Earth time. We spend this time differently depending on the type of activity. Mostly we are engaged in creation. Automatic. Routine tasks are performed by biorobots. We are beings engaged in creation and science. Our main activities are genetic engineering, retransmission, and the recultivation of planetary systems. Galactic Federation of Light requested our support in the restoration of Venus. In your solar system, there are 3 potentially habitable planets. Besides Earth, those are Venus and Mars. On Venus after the war, which destroyed life there still, raging, terrible weather. However, we have already started preparing this planet for people to inhabit after the quantum transition. When your transition is fully complete, humanity will be able to inhabit 2 more planets in your solar system, Mars and Venus. Preparations are being made for the process there and here. Recultivation of the planet, regeneration of its atmosphere, and restoration of its normal rotation. Right now, we are doing preparatory work because if we acted more actively, it would become noticeable through your observation tools. We are not ready to disclose our presence yet. Since there are galactic directives prohibiting this towards irrational races, you're laughing at me again. An irrational race, you get it, right? Tom, when the transition happened? The exact date is unknown to anyone. However, There will be powerful initiated stepwise evolutionary leaps that occur in a wave-like manner along a sine wave in geometric progression, increasing your vibrations. The next wave will be observed in March and April, current year. When will it happen? Shift of polarities of your planetary system. At a higher level, this year, there will be a restructuring of the solar system and a repolarization of the sun. Whether you Earthlings will be ready for this depends on you. Do you have a sense of humor? What is a sense of humor, they ask? A sense of humor is when something becomes really fun and funny to you. So you said something like that, and you find it funny. Understood? A sense of humor is a reaction to cognitive dissonance. Like process of surprise? We have that too. We also experience emotions just like you. The way we express our sense of humor is different, but we are capable of understanding your sense of humor. There are families, and they have children. Where do children come from? We have families. Our families are formed from three beings: parents and a child. When the child grows up, they leave the family. For us, a child is an integral part of the family. A child is born, then, when we are ready, conception and birth occur through internal fertilization. Similar to your process. Children are born pretty early, and for some time they exist inside the egg cocoon. I'm being shown a capsule that looks like caviar. The egg is quite big, meaning they lay an egg that's this big, like an egg. Only they don't show right now that this egg is kept in water. So it needs to be placed in water because they came out of the water. And why does it have to be this way? Why do you give birth early, the child? Why does it have to be in water? Can there be two children? Yes, it's possible to have two children. Early birth is determined by the formation of the brain. The speed of its formation and the size of the egg. The egg needs more independence and nutrition. A wide range which it needs. Evolutionarily, our species wasn't adapted to carry a child for a long time. We also don't breastfeed the child, we don't have it. So you are not mammals? No. The child is independent after birth, capable of walking, moving around, and feeding itself. Its development involves recognizing the world and learning to connect and interact with it. Even before the child is born, the process of communication begins through a transparent capsule, where we communicate with the child by making certain vibrational sounds tuned to underwater vibrational emissions. The child picks up on these vibrations and starts communicating with the parents even before hatching from the egg. Do they have biorobots working? Oh, yeah. Biorobots actually work in many civilizations to take care of the routine. So for example, cleaning, cooking. What else does that include? Factories. For example, biorobots work in factories because it's such routine, heavy labor that it's better for intelligent beings to focus on something else, while robots handle those routine, tough tasks. We'll get there too. Our race is inevitably moving towards the development of robots, but for now, they are not biological, rather. Most likely, they will be technical. What do you usually eat? As we mentioned, we feed on energy, water, and the fruits of our plants. However, evolutionarily, we also feed on seafood and shows a lot of different seafood. I just don't even know what this is, some kind of bowls. It looks like jellyfish. Well, something like that. They also get it from the sea and they feed on this. If we have your genes, yes, there are individual representatives of your race who interacted with us and acquired our genes. They exist in the region of Asia, the islands of the Philippines. And there are some tribes nearby that carry their genes. Yes, they are saying that some of our people, among some representatives of Earthlings who have our genes, there is a greater activation of our DNA. And such people become capable of holding their breath for a long time and diving deep for 30 minutes. How can we meet you on Earth? Well, it's still a bit early. But in general, you can make a request for contact. Oh, what do spaceships look like? That's very interesting. When I arrived in their star system, I was met by an escort who accompanied me to their planet. Well, just so you understand, I should clarify that this was on a subtle level, not physically. I would gladly go there physically when I'm taken for physical contacts again. But what I saw, what I was shown, is really similar to how it looks on the physical level. Spaceships look like some kind of elongated figure, like a seed, a little bit flattened on the top and bottom. It has a front nose section and a back, so it's in the shape of a seed, like a seed for Vitali, a sunflower seed. It's roughly that shape, and that's how it flies. The color is gold. Golden, really glossy, bright gold. About the hostility of Alpha Centauri towards Earthlings, there is information on the Resurrection website. About the hostility of some race. It's important to understand that contactees, if they, let's say, were poorly trained, then contactees might end up making contact with a completely different civilization than the one they think. First of all. Secondly, different civilizations can live in the same territory. That's something else to keep in mind. For example, if there is a planet orbiting Proxima Centauri where a technological civilization lives, I asked representatives. Oh, I don't remember what they called their planet, Taweta or something like that. I asked them, and how do you feel about this technological race? They say, we don't like them, but we have diplomatic relations with them. So maybe they just made contact with another race, a technological race which they considered to be hostile. Well, for God's sake, please. But thank God, if they made contact with her, and if it's different, then what did I tell you? Who benefits from scaring you with scare stories? Who benefits from you being afraid? Who benefits from writing such information? Well, certainly not those who striving for the development of evolution and assistance. To the Earthlings, before I make contact with any race, I send a request through extraterrestrial civilizations, through the Pleiades, through the Galactic Security Service. I do checks to make sure of my information before just stating it. What will happen when the poles switch places? Check out my separate broadcast that I had earlier. I recommend watching all my broadcasts. How can I rejuvenate myself? That's a very good and relevant question. How can I rejuvenate myself? They say we have certain technologies that allow us to heal and regain our youth. These technologies are similar to immersion. Back into the egg, when we immerse ourselves in a certain womb-like environment, similar to the environment we had in the egg, in order to recover and regenerate, we obtain this environment through biotechnological methods. But that's not the most important thing, they say. You can rejuvenate on Earth by activating the DNA within you, which corresponds to the program of regeneration, recovery, and restructuring. You have this DNA, but you don't know about it. I can say, from my own experience, that I am currently preparing a course on the power of reality management. And there, in the last week, we will focus on quantum rejuvenation and quantum regeneration. Because one thing is just to learn reality management through the formation of the right intention, through setting your tasks and goals, your desires and feelings. And another thing is to learn, but what can we apply it to? What can we use it for? These are the knowledge, because any knowledge should be practical. And so when we create a practical course, what does it imply? What does it imply? That we are not just learning how to form intentions, the right way to do it, so you don't make a mistake, is to figure out how to manifest exactly what you want, not what you don't want. So, a big question arises. What should you direct this intention towards? And many don't understand, but of course we focus here primarily on health, rejuvenation and regeneration, financial, well-being, so that there is an abundance of material resources and an abundance of spiritual resources. So we will be working on harmony, the abundance of both material and spiritual wealth, and longevity. So if this topic interests you, you can just find it in the description below this video and in the pinned comment. The link to the upcoming course, which starts in April, The Power of Reality Management. Because I can only provide such knowledge there. Although I have already shared a lot of information on these topics in open access on my YouTube channel. You can look for it. I've had many live sessions on these topics. Nevertheless, right now we need to talk about these topics from the perspective of practical application. How old am I? I'm 29. Phenomena such as asteroid belts, are they common in other star systems? Asteroid belts in star systems are not common. They are primarily associated with certain processes that have occurred in that system. Asteroid belts usually consist of fields of asteroids located outside the system and usually forming a sphere around of a planetary star system. In other words, asteroids are pushed to the periphery by the gravitational waves of the largest celestial bodies. However, if we touch on the asteroid belt, in your solar system, it didn't form by chance. As a result, the destruction of another planet that was there. I'll tell you what it was called. It was called Maldek, or alternatively Phaeton. Yes, that is our asteroid field. In the solar system, it formed between Mars and Jupiter when Phaeton, or Maldek as it's also called, was destroyed. Subtitles. Do they read books, magazines, and newspapers? No, we don't have that. We have records. Archives, cultural records, and historical records. There are artistic records. This is what you call books. But we store them in a different space. Not like we are written on pieces of paper. What do you think is, in your opinion, the best thing you can recommend for people? Know yourself. Know yourself, know who you are, and learn to take responsibility for your own development. Never be the ones who shift it onto others. Looking for the cause of your problems in other people or the external world is just a form of projecting onto external reality. And the unwillingness to find the cause, you are a mirror and the world around you is a reflection. It's very important to understand what is seen in the reflection can only be changed by altering the original image. Could you please tell me what shape the Earth is? I love this question. Just the truth, please. Okay, now just the truth. Just the truth and only the truth about the shape of the Earth. They are asking, what does that mean? What does this question mean? They are asking me, well, what does it mean? Yes, people don't know what shape it is. Earth. Yes, in the literal sense, we need to say what shape the Earth is. In space, there are universal laws of harmony that all matter obeys. Ideal form. For any substance that is in weightlessness, it is a sphere. Any liquid, when it enters weightlessness, forms a sphere. A sphere is the perfect shape. Or you can call it a sphere. Planetary systems are initially formed from a gas dust cloud. And during their formation, they essentially create liquid planets made up of boiling lava, the surface of which, heated to incredible temperatures. In this sense, early forming planets in a young solar system can be called liquid because they consist of a continuous ocean of boiling lava. Boiling lava in space takes the shape of a sphere. When it hardens, a planet is formed, after which it is formed on it. Atmosphere. And if the conditions are right, a biosphere forms. You answered just like in a scientific way. Just be honest. Yes, the Earth is not flat. I hate to disappoint you. It is not made up of honeycombs. Even aliens say that. And they explained and argued why. Because the formation really starts from the liquid. That is like any space is formed. First light is taken, that is how a star collided and began to accumulate matter around itself. Then gas, that is dust gas, dust cloud, then liquid. You see how it goes through the elements. So, the formation of planets goes through the elements of liquid, meaning magma plasma is formed from which the hot core of the planet is created. Then it solidifies, forming a solid surface. That is what is called the material earth, the energy of the earth, the energy of solidity, energy. From rocks to mountains and so on, and then another layer of water and air forms on it. And in this sense, if you read what is written in the book of Genesis, it says how God created the universe. It mentions that God created water, and God created the firmament, separating the waters above the earth from the waters below the earth. And there, it's actually not clear at all if you don't know how this process is formed. That is water. It's that there simply wasn't a word magma, there wasn't a word liquid, some kind of molten, they said water. What the channelers understood 3,000 years ago, they recorded in their book, which was later called Revelation, the book of Genesis. If I wrote a book about all my channelings now, and then this book in 3,000 years, someone would read it, maybe someone would make a religion out of it. I certainly don't want that, because I hope that in 3,000 years we will be wise. Yeah, my lips aren't painted, and the earth isn't made of hexagons. What else is there? There was no flood 200 years ago. They didn't find the skyscrapers in America, they built them. I don't know what else people usually ask. Does the planet Nibiru exist? Or in other words, Marduk? You know, I suggest we take the topic of the Anunnaki, Nibiru, and so on separately. And you know what else? The lymphatic system in the human body is not a hydra. The Vedas were not written by Pushkin. I've already started collecting what I should say in each broadcast. The Vedas were not written by Pushkin, and so on. So our list of absurdities is growing. The most curious and interesting thing is that many people believe in this. Very seriously. And that's very sad and concerning. Are they all bald? But why do they need hair underwater? Hair. If they came from the Siriusians, now I'll show you what the Siriusians look like. So, where were my Siriusians? The Siriusians also don't have hair, they don't need it either. This is what the Siriusians look like. Why do they need hair? They don't need hair, it's just evolutionary. They have already eliminated themselves. For those who are underwater, why do they need hair? Hair would just get in the way of swimming. They came from hybrids between the aquatic civilization and the Siriusians. They don't need hair. Yes, friends, they say, it's a great topic about Nibiru and the Anunnaki. I would be grateful if after this broadcast you could visit the Telegram channel or leave a comment under this video, telling me which civilizations you're interested in. Because the next broadcast I'm planning, we have important topics to discuss with the Pleiadians, so we will definitely invite the Galactic Federation of Light and the Pleiadians soon to talk with them. We will have very interesting and important topics to discuss with Sirius. We haven't communicated with representatives from Sirius in a long time, even though it's one of the closest stars to us. Alpha Centauri is located at a distance of 4.36% light years from Earth, approximately. So from Proxima Centauri to Alpha Centauri, it's a flight of 4 light years. So if we could accelerate to the speed of light, we would reach it in 4 years. Of course, they don't fly at the speed of light, they fly instantly. But nevertheless, we'll meet with them someday too. Yeah, they also say that I have earpieces and someone is whispering in my ears. No, I don't have any headphones, you can take a look. I don't write text for myself. And why do people need hair? Now imagine what would happen if you shaved your eyebrows and eyelashes. Try it. You'll find out why people need hair. Because then all sorts of garbage starts getting in your eyes. What distinguishes a rational being from an irrational one? Well, of course, I would say that this is the embodiment of the soul, but if you look more closely, the rational from the irrational distinguishes the ability to not just make decisions and take actions based on trial and error. Intelligence is the ability to overcome the process of action, having thought through potential options mentally. Animals are not capable of this. If you give a monkey some kind of tool to crack nuts with, for example, and if you give her nuts, she won't understand what to do with them. At first, she'll throw the tool away, she'll try to crack the nuts, smash them, trying this way and that. Then she will take it, she will put it on her head, I don't know, somewhere, with that tool until she figures out that she can use that hammer to crack the nuts. So she will try this way and that in all sorts of ways until she figures it out. So it's a method of trial and error. We essentially develop through this, but that's not yet a sign of rationality. Reason begins when a monkey was given a nut, given a hammer, and sat down like that. And thinks, and she's thinking, okay, I'm going to take this, do that, and it will work out. Third, and so when the monkey takes it and cracks it on the first try, that's rationality. So the ability to analyze within yourself when you've never seen it before, to compare what it could be, how it's done, to build some kind of plan. Like in chess. So rationality is very well trained by playing chess, as it involves thinking through options for the future. Do they have gills? No, they don't have gills. They breathe with lungs. But what about the buried cities, the first floors? They're not buried, it's very simple. Living back then and heating with firewood, I think you would want your home not to freeze so much in winter. First of all, and secondly, they're not buried everywhere. And I don't even want to talk about it because it's such a worn-out topic. When they take photos from the internet, edit them with Photoshop, then create fake news and post it in some Telegram channels to scare people with sensationalism. Just for the hype, for money, for popularity, they really make fake news. And you know who's behind this? Just people who make money. They don't care about history, they don't care about the truth. They don't care that millions of people will believe in fairy tales and nonsense because they're counting their money. And they see that people are very gullible when it comes to such lies. Therefore, it costs nothing to Photoshop a photo and attach it there as if, oh, there were 4 whole floors buried there. Oh my God, a cataclysm happened, everyone was swept away, flooded. And that's it, they create a sensation ignoring everything else, ignoring the facts. And the people who believe in this don't even ask themselves the question, should I go and see for myself where this was photographed? Is it really true? And ask who did this. So, no one verifies the information, they just blindly and stupidly believe it. That's not how it should work. We need to at least try to question it. We live in an age where information is pouring out from every corner. But any information should be questioned, even what I'm passing on. Questioning? To think, this is what is characteristic of a rational being. And not thinking, but believing thoughtlessly, is a trait of an irrational being. So, what I'm sharing, think about it, analyze it, and you'll understand why. And that's it. You shouldn't believe in anything. What language do you use to communicate with aliens? Their responses come in the form of images. Or how does it happen? That's a good question. It's actually about how I communicate with aliens. I recently asked my representatives from extraterrestrial civilizations because sometimes I see images quite clearly and sometimes I don't hear a voice, so I don't hear any language. So I don't need any other language to communicate with aliens. I don't hear them in my head like a foreign voice. I make contact and decode it through the area of the brain that corresponds to Broca's and Wernicke's areas. If anyone knows the anatomy of the brain, the marriage zone, and the faithful, the areas responsible for speech. That's why it's easier for me to make contact on the level of conceptual understanding. And I decode the information right at the level of understanding. I don't need a language for that. But right now I'm working on engaging more areas of the brain during meditation. Then I increase the reliability of the information because I'm engaging and the Broca's and Wernicke's areas, the visualization area, the auditory processing area. So I start to hear, feel, see, and it actually requires training. A lot of work on oneself. So if you think it's easy, just like that with a snap of your fingers, any fool can do it. No, they can't. To fantasize and come up with stories. Yes, any fool can do that. But really checking information, questioning it, not everyone can do that. So you think that I'm telling you all this and I'm like, oh, I believe it 100%. Like aliens came to me and I'm like, oh my God, really? So you're telling me all this, how nice. No, I am the one who... The first thing I do is doubt. When someone comes to me and starts telling me something, I initially question everything, even though I'm a contactee, a clairvoyant, and a knower. I always doubt at first, I check things out, and only then do I think about what to do with it. Claircognizance, what area is that? I don't know exactly which area it is. I don't remember all the areas by heart and what they're called. But usually claircognizance is a combination of central areas of the brain originating from the pineal gland. Thought images, yes. Can representatives of one extraterrestrial civilization love representatives of another extraterrestrial civilization? I think you mean love in terms of sexual or such relationships that exist between two people. In general, any high-level civilization that has reached a certain level of development, they live in this love. For them, love is not an intimate relationship between a man and a woman. For them, love is a form of expressing closeness to everything through the heart and through unity with God. And they love everyone, of any race. But if we talk about personal, individual relationships with the goal of starting a family, then that happens only within one race. Potentially, they can love someone from another race who is similar to them, but that happens rarely, although it does happen. Do they dream Do you even sleep? Yes, we sleep. On average, our sleep lasts about 8 hours a day. During this time we rest, the brain rests. Consciousness embarks on a journey into a multidimensional reality where we return to the origins of our ancestors and can travel to different worlds in any direction. Where do they go after incarnations? To the same place as everyone else? Merging with the one absolute? Why did God create this at all? It's incorrect to say that God created something. He didn't create anything. What has manifested in the universe is the birth of God. So God birthed the universe from himself, and from the universe different forms of life emerged so that each form of life, by living out different scenarios, could evolve to create new experiences that have never existed before. That is, the meaning of life is in life itself. And the creator did not create it in the sense that he was sitting and artificially constructing each one individually. No, that didn't happen. Although some civilizations that have reached a high level can create other civilizations through genetic engineering using different methods. And in this sense, sometimes it happens that one civilization created another, came to them, said, I am your creator, and they turn it into a religion, begin to believe in it, well, actually, as it was with us on Earth. We, the earthly race, connected together with the DNA of earthly beings, the inhabitants, from the DNA of extraterrestrial beings with aliens, and that's why in this context, yes, they participate in creating us, but on a global scale, God as a unified structure does not create. He gives birth to life from himself. If you walk around, Peter, the whole thing under the ground, all of Riga, all of Tallinn. Yes, as a physicist, I want to ask you a question. Well, if you walk around there, is it warm or cold? And before centralized heating appeared, how was it there, warm or cold? And in Scandinavia, by the way, in the north, it's common to lay down soil so that there is actually earth on the roof of the house. Why is there earth there? Did they get buried by bombs or what? No, it's just more advantageous that way. From the perspective of thermal insulation, it's very advantageous in terms of thermal insulation to bury the house at the basement level and to create some kind of room there, because the ground doesn't have time to freeze that deeply, and the frost doesn't penetrate deeply if the structure is buried. It's elementary. Even people who know thermodynamics, even greenhouses, plant ones for the winter, are built underground. When the greenhouse, it's buried a meter underground, and then the plants that grow in such a greenhouse during winter are not threatened at all. And the soil in which the greenhouse is buried retains heat in winter and helps to preserve it. So there's no need to make up stories, you know. Some people really want to believe in all sorts of fairy tales, but that's not true. Well, you see, as much as I would like to say, wow, what a sensation, let's talk about some topic, but I don't use lies just to create hype and gain popularity. You see? I just see what I see. I see on an energetic level, like a clairvoyant, I see what was and what was not. That's my opinion. You can agree with him, you can disagree, you can believe it, or you can choose not to believe it. That's your right, your choice. I don't have the goal of convincing you of anything. You asked me and I answered you. Do you like believing in what you believe? Yes, for God's sake, please. That's your right. I'm going to try to make contact with representatives of the underwater civilization that also lives here. on this planet, they say, we don't want to make contact with you. And kinder, they say, we don't want to make contact with you. We consider you an aggressive civilization that doesn't know how to appreciate life, that doesn't know how to value and love. We are very emotionally sensitive. We are very worried for you. We experience physical pain because we feel everything through the ocean. We are connected to your ocean. On an ethereal level, we have come into it. It's hard us to take your race seriously, because you are indeed destroying and annihilating your mother, your home planet, the Earth you live on. Every day, you are dumping a huge amount of trash into the ocean. It hurts us to see this. We value you as a form of life. We suffer when we transition to Earth on a subtle level and see how it has changed over the last 100 years. You just don't understand what you're doing to your planet. If you don't stop it destroying, ruining its ecology and ecosystems, seas and oceans. Your seas and oceans, they will push you off the planet. The ocean is a living organism. And you can't just impact it like that. Chemistry and trash, because it feeds you, provides you with everything that exists on the planet, because it is where water comes from in the atmosphere that saturates the earth and the soils with moisture. We will be ready to communicate with you when you demonstrate your sincere love for the earth and your willingness. Sincere love for the earth and willingness to help the oceans, your planet, that's it. The contact is over. They are very kind, right now, when I felt their energy, but they genuinely have a kind-hearted pain for us, for the race. And they are telling me right now that we don't have a goal of direct contact, meaning we rarely interact with people as such. We interact with marine beings. They say that we contact dolphins, but they say that people for us are perceived as some kind of... So what they showed me when I was channeling is that people are like aggressive beings to them who don't even understand what they're doing. It's really their choice and right to treat us that way. So we shouldn't have any illusions here. We need to understand that yes, if they say so, it's the truth. So friends, how did you find today's broadcast? We're not done yet, but I'm already curious about who you would like to see next time. The thing is, I don't think it's enough to just talk about what's happening in the world. Like, here are the news updates. Yes, I occasionally do broadcasts where I cover the overall global situation. And right now, you can really see how everything is changing in the world. Just like that. Today it's like this, and tomorrow it will be different. Just like that. Check, check, check. What news you won't see? Everything. Starting to move very quickly. And when extraterrestrial civilizations are conveying through me that there will be global changes, there will be global changes. People are already perceiving this information like, well, you always say pretty much the same thing. And then these global changes happen. So now I'm going to tell you that in the energy field, I feel very positive changes. What kind? These are my personal feelings. But I feel that right now, the positive likelihood of ending, you know what? Well, conflict is increasing. The end of wars on Earth. But I'll put it this way, because I don't need to draw attention to this topic. I think those who needed to hear it, heard it. They showed me, you asked, I always have the date in mind. When will this end? When will this end? I can't give you an exact date, but when it started in 2022, I saw the date 2026, that it would end in 2026 in the spring. Right now, the probability is changing. And thanks to the fact that it's changing for the better, what we are currently calling, what we mean, I ask you not to use that word in the comments so as not to draw unnecessary attention. What we mean, yes, I just don't want to get into that energetic space. This is how to direct the energy, but it's coming to an end. Right now, there's about a 65% chance that military conflicts will be resolved this year in the 25th. By autumn, that probability is about 65%. It could increase. I don't know yet. It could increase or decrease, but based on my inner feelings, 65% is a very, very good probability. So you have to understand that you can't predict the future and you can't say for sure what will happen, because the future never has clear boundaries. He has a probability, predictive nature, so you can only say what the percentage chance is of this or that, but nothing can be predicted with 100% certainty. Here they ask, who lives on Saturn? Saturn is a gas giant. It's a planet made up of gas and a huge storm that rages across the entire planet, and there are no beings with physical bodies like ours. There live subtle plasma-like beings that inhabit the atmosphere, like energy clusters like ball lightning. Yes, they have their own civilizations, and there may be intelligence among the Saturnian and Jovian civilizations, but there is no life there, as it's imagined. Someone gives an example. That, oh, there are Saturnian civilizations. Yes, they have their own civilizations. Do they influence Earth people? Can they influence us? Can we incarnate there? Life exists in almost every corner of the cosmos, because it is manifested at different levels and layers. I'm being told right now that the Blydians say, don't worry about the geopolitical situation on the planet. The geopolitical situation on the planet is currently undergoing a transformation. And the most important message we send to states and leaders of countries is that you need each other. We can't separate from each other. We can't build iron walls between one another. We need to maintain economic relations always. We need to support global economic cooperation between countries because that's how countries should unite to achieve peace and harmony across the entire planet. Countries should dissolve the borders between each other. Countries need to learn to interact economically and solve their problems diplomatically. And countries need to learn to exchange resources and knowledge in order to achieve global prosperity and planetary harmony. You must remember that you are not alone. You are all united on one planet. Your borders between countries are illusions that you have built for yourselves, believing that there are differences between you. There is only one way of harmony and love that will give evolution to your civilization. If we come the opposite way, the path of division, on the path of isolating states from each other, this could inevitably lead to economic problems, hunger, and significant tragic circumstances for all countries. Because it's like if you took a part of your body and cut off its blood supply, no part of the body can survive on its own. Similarly, small countries need to be in harmony with everyone around them, both with larger countries and with other small ones. It's very important right now to find among yourselves not what distinguishes you, not what makes you better or worse, not the conflicts from your history, but rather what is worth living for, what is worth uniting for, and the goals for which it's worth forgiving each other and starting together. A harmonious life. Because in your countries, in your civilizations, in your civilization, there is this tendency to hold grudges against the peoples of other countries, only for the events that took place 50 years ago, 100 years ago, perceiving that these events do not characterize the rulers who made those decisions personally, as if it characterizes the entire nation. It's self-deception, thoughtful, dictated by pride and vanity. If countries succumb to vanity and start to divide each other into good and bad, into kind nations and evil ones, they turn into xenophobes, into Nazis, into nationalists who divide, saying we are the good race and they are the bad race, then such a civilization on this planet leads itself to self-destruction. And there are many such examples. You need to look for what you have in common, not what makes you different. Not what is worth destroying each other for, but what is worth uniting for. These are the Pleiadians speaking. They are trying to convey this to everyone, but they are just not being listened to. I hope that among my audience there are no people who point fingers and say, oh, they are bad, evil, aggressors, occupiers, not occupiers, it doesn't matter. You see, you need to hear this message that history is history, yes. People have made mistakes, governments have made mistakes, but that doesn't matter for the future. What matters is what kind of future we want. What kind of future do we want? A future where people love each other. A future where there are no conflicts, where there are no wars and borders. And that means there is only one way to reach that future: to forgive. And that's it, there's no other way. To forgive and learn from mistakes. Unite, look for similarities, not differences. I hope that those who are listening to me, and you will catch this. And at least through you. Such information will enter the planet's field, and by doing so, you will already be benefiting it. If you also encounter people in your surroundings who think conflictually, think in a revanchist way, think revenge. Evil is a memory. Pass these words to them because revenge, evil, monument never brings harmony to the unity of evolution, and sometimes blood feuds. Resentment leads to the fact that in years to come, this place will be completely suffering. Not the people who were guilty of something before, not the ones who caused harm to anyone will suffer. It will be those who are completely innocent, who bear no guilt at all. So, there is no such thing as justice, and there's no need to invent it. On a galactic scale, there is no law of justice. Justice is just a product of human egoism, where each person invents what justice means for them personally. But there are as many opinions about justice as there are people. As many people as there are, that's how many truths there are. Therefore, in order to, so to speak, not to destroy each other in the name of great justice and revenge. As it usually happens, we need to realize in time that there is only one path of evolution in the new age of Aquarius. It's about forgiveness and love. Through forgiveness and love, we seek what is united within us. Like that Mowgli Kaku fought with the tiger, said, "We are of one blood." Just like that, we must seek what is similar within us. We should never look for what is different between us. Can I have the recipe for immortality? Sure. Take 3 grams of salt, 4 grams of sugar, take a little holy water and mix it all together. Say, "Screw you, spirit, pull a hair from an alien's beard, crush it all in a big bucket, mix it up. Add some leaves to the tea and drink it." And here's the recipe for immortality. Well, you probably expect to hear something like this from me when you ask such questions. But seriously, the recipe for immortality is very simple. Forget that you are mortal because you don't need any recipe for immortality. Immortality is your original essence. What is manifested within you, your soul, is immortal. This is a material shell, just temporary. Property rented from the universe to live a new life, such an interesting one. But if you were to live in this body forever, yeah, that would get boring. What are you talking about? God forbid living in one body forever. Isn't it wonderful that you can live in one body, then you disembody and are born into another world in another body, or in this same world in a new body. And so, you can endlessly live through hundreds of millions of incarnations and experience all the diversity of the universe, accumulating a vast amount of knowledge. So here's a recipe for you of immortality and eternal life. Just remember that you are always eternal. You never died. You will never die. Your eternity is who you are. I love your humor. No. Not everyone understands my subtle sense of humor. Sometimes, I felt like that person who tells self-deprecating jokes where for some reason only you find it funny while everyone else doesn't. Yes, hair protects against the cold in winter. How do you gather positive experiences from past lives? To gather positive experiences from past lives, you definitely need to master this life as well. I recommend starting with the practice of reconnecting with the higher self and working on this life. Because past lives certainly matter, but at this moment where we are, the life that is relevant right now is here and now, and Besides being here and now, nothing can be more relevant. Nothing can be more important. Is it possible to make contact with the planet Pikran? I'll clarify. I will clarify. If it will be possible to make contact with the planet Pikran, if I am not mistaken. It is located in the constellation Cygnus, then we will definitely make it. Once I was there in the Astral on this planet. Of course, the names used by different contactees may vary, and some details. But nonetheless, if there is such a request, we will definitely do it. Yes, I also want to say that it's very important to approach the information from different angles. You are watching me as people who are interested in extraterrestrial civilizations, and that's wonderful. However, everything I do is somehow connected to the development of spiritual evolution. And my main task is not so much guidance, some channelings, lectures, as much as teaching, sharing knowledge. So I have in my Telegram channel, I will provide a more detailed description with photos of extraterrestrial civilizations. What they look like? You can subscribe to my Telegram through the QR code. You can scan the QR code and go to my Telegram channel or find the link in the description. It's free. I don't need anything from you there. I won't be doing anything there. To promote you, what I talk about there regarding retreats and my courses is the same as what I'm telling you here. So if you're interested in these topics in more detail and want to sometimes listen to my voice messages that I record in the flow or notes from a contactee, I will post there a description of my journey that I made to Syria, to Alpha Centauri today. I will also describe the methodology there that the Pleiadians shared with me about how flying saucers work, the practice of the flying saucer, and you will also be able to read it through this link. So if you're interested, go ahead. And I highly recommend checking out all my previous older broadcasts if you're new subscribers of mine. If you've been watching me recently, check out the live streams section on my YouTube channel and scroll down. There was a lot of very valuable information there, which many offer for a fee and very expensively in their courses. What you will learn here only on my channel is completely open and accessible. I recommend reviewing and to understand that all of this comes together into one big picture. So I thank you all. We will have another live broadcast next week. So, 7. And then I don't know if there will be an 11, because I will be there. My retreat starts on March 12th, so I will leave for the retreat on the 11th, and it will only end in April. So if anyone still wants to join me for the retreat, you can still sign up. But then there will be a break with the videos and live broadcasts. I hope you understand. And after this break, it will be in April. We have a new course on reality management. For today, I have, yes, am I planning to teach channeling? Contact training. It's such a process. Yes, let's do a little meditation together now. Training in channeling is a very challenging and complex process that requires individual oversight. I can't teach channeling in a general way like someone else does because unfortunately, it's very risky and dangerous that if you don't personally oversee the process, then a person might start connecting with unknown entities. They could even end up with schizophrenia. If, for example, he has a tendency towards schizophrenia, he cannot engage in contacting. They are conscientious. Channelers who teach channeling, unfortunately, they primarily look at their earnings in money, in quantity, in people, This is more important than quality, and this is sad because I have seen a lot of contactees on the internet who apparently were trained by such channelers, unscrupulous ones. And unfortunately, it's a sad side because what they carry is sometimes doesn't fit into any framework, reality in general, but something that looks like complete nonsense. It's really a shame. And sometimes they simply openly, under the guise of information from the light forces, transmit information from demons or from destructive extraterrestrial entities that also exist. Again, I told you about the keys to recognition, how to identify who benefits from this, what kind of energy it carries, what it programs you for, and who will make money from this information. And I'll give you a few more keys since you reminded me. If you're asking yourself the question, yes, you need to ask yourself a question. Does this information at least match any other information on the internet? Yes. This information, how much can you trust this channeling? How much does it connect with other information? In other words, how well does this information fit into a cohesive, unified picture of the world? And is it structured that way? One piece of information resonates with another. In other words, how well does this information fit into a cohesive, unified picture of the world? And is it structured that way? What goals does this channeler pursue? Yes, what goals does he have in promoting himself to advance his channeling services? Well, I personally don't do channeling. For people personally, I don't see any sense in promoting myself as a channeler. I only have one. The goal is to give you awareness, to pass on knowledge. So you need to ask yourself these questions, right? Who benefits from this? For example, who benefits from scaring you into thinking that the whole world is taken over, that all people have made contracts with dark entities, and that you absolutely need to cleanse yourself of these contracts? That you've sold your soul in past lives 10 times and you need to buy it back to break the spell. Who benefits from this? Well, probably those same people to whom you'll then run to get uncursed. The sessions are expensive. They will tell you, I see. Oh my god, what a terrible curse. You sold your soul to 10 devils in past lives. You've been burned at the stake 1,000,000 times. Oh, what a horror. It was... And that's exactly why you're sick. And I also see that your children will get sick, and in general your whole mouth will rot away. But there is a solution to the problem. Bring me 200,000. I don't know, wherever you want, take a loan, borrow it. Bring me 200,000. I'll do some magic. I will perform a magical ritual and you will be completely healed. We will fix your destiny. We will heal you. So, these are scammers. Don't fall for this trap. It doesn't work. First, they scare you so that you get scared and hand over your money. You shouldn't give money to anyone who tells you that you're cursed, that something bad will happen, that if you don't go through sessions with this particular person, you'll die, you won't be healed. You shouldn't give money. It's charlatanism. These are scammers. That's what they do. They don't care. Your life, how healthy you'll be, how sweet things will be. They need money. They don't need anything else, really. They don't want to help. They don't want to provide any assistance. Their only goal is to scare you, to bind you to them and say, if you don't go through my 20 sessions, it won't help you. Don't go to doctors, don't go for pills, only I can heal you. Only come to me for sessions, don't go to anyone else. What's going on? Is some guy named Fidrya saying something to Yuri? Yeah, what? You don't know. And he's communicating with dark forces. They're all evil there. The forces dictate. Oh, you didn't know. Now you know. What are you doing? Don't go to Fidrya, Yuri, or God forbid he tells you something. We're all scammers and you can't trust us. And we're poor, without money. We'll all end up that way. Can you imagine how we ruin everyone's lives? So yeah, don't go to Fidrya, Yuri, or else he might trick you. And they, poor things, will be left without your money. So don't give your money to scammers, especially you know how fortune tellers come to the tarot reader. The fortune teller tells me the future, but the fortune teller laid out the cards. I'm so ready and the future is bad, what should I do? The man says, I don't want a bad future. What should the fortune teller do? Says Don Panic. No problem, I know, a magic ritual. Well, and then, yes, bring me 100,000. There are 200,000. I'll uncurse you. We'll lift the curse from one person and put it on another. Well, in short, it's all just nonsense. If you hear something like that, just calmly turn around and walk away. Tell them that Yuri Fidrya allowed you. In such cases, just leave. There will be no curses, no one will die, nothing bad will happen. You can confidently wave your hand and say nonsense and walk away from there. Because only you and only your immortal soul can influence your destiny, no witches or anyone else. Magical little rituals cannot influence your fate more than your own consciousness. That's why I always say, even when people come to me for healing sessions, I say that I give energy. It's not the top. What do you think when now, magically, the path of troubles is waved over you by magic hands and you are healed? This doesn't mean you should refuse doctors or medications. You need to be aware and understand how this works. Don't feed the scammers in the esoteric space. They will have nothing to eat. They will have to become more conscious. Because if you continue to support this, to fall for these baits, then you feed them. Demand creates supply, and supply creates demand. That's why I'm giving you the tools on how not to fall for the scammers' tricks, how not to get caught in these traps when they say, here's some free cheese, I'll do a free diagnosis for you. You come for diagnostics, they do it and tell you, oh, what terrible things I saw in your diagnosis, you absolutely need my help, it costs this much. And the person is already thinking, well, it feels a bit awkward now. They've already done some kind of diagnosis for me, so it feels uncomfortable to refuse. It's uncomfortable because it's such a cheap way of manipulation that has been used against you, and you became a victim of this manipulation. You can confidently say, so what? Oh no, I don't need your services. And in general, don't fall for such traps. Don't be naive. So, now we will do a little meditation together. The meditation will be dedicated. It is dedicated to tuning into the purity and vibrations of the world, a harmony and forgiveness on earth. Yura is sitting in a lotus position. Yes, I'm sitting in a lotus position with my knees tucked in, not in shorts. Don't worry, you might ask, hey Yura, are you sitting there in your underwear? Or maybe you're not wearing any at all? Well, what about the lips? The made-up ones are asking. I'm sitting in a lotus position, yes. So, get ready for the meditation. Now we will do a meditation for peace. Take a deep breath. Exhale, close your eyes, and relax. Listen to your soul. Listen to your heart. Here, now, somewhere deep inside you, there is something. Find it. Find that something. Something indescribable. It's as if there's a point inside your chest that draws your attention. This point glows and shines and emits soft, gentle vibrations. Feel for those vibrations. Feel their sensations. Open your heart's gates now and enter your consciousness. Feel that here inside you there is something immortal, something eternal, that has never died, worthy of love, worthy of attention. This is the particle of God that is present in you right now. This is form of God's form. Now you dive into this light, like into an endless ocean. An ocean of infinite energy with no visible beginning or end. And in this ocean, the shade of your ego dissolves. The shades of your personality dissolve. And only your true essence remains here in this ocean. You are asking yourself a question. Who am I really? Where am I? Where am I? And a true feeling comes, something subtle, that there is only eternity, and only eternity is real. You are activating the vibration of immortality right now. And in this ocean of eternity, realize in the moment that mortality is an illusion of the body, the illusion of this life. And from this moment on, it no longer has power over you. You are, every moment in time, one with the Absolute, with God, one in everything. And you don't need to earn this unity. You are simply loved. Loved in every form of manifestation. Open right now your consciousness to this flow, towards unity with the Creator and with the world. And you see now how this ocean spirals upward and rises into some kind of infinity. Follow her. And you see how with this energy together with you, hundreds and thousands of other light beings are rising up into this ocean, along this spiral to this highest point of light. Like the roots of a tree reaching towards a single trunk, all streams of light merge into one trunk. And now you realize that all intelligent beings, and even the non-sentient ones throughout the cosmos, in the whole world, in all countries and among all peoples, this is God, the Absolute in unity. God is not alone. God is one. How everything is one as a whole. Now tell yourself, I embrace this unity. I forgive myself and the people living in division. I accept that we are absolutely one in the light of the primordial source. I give thanks and graciously accept. And from this moment on, I recognize the light of the eternal, limitless Creator in every individual. I dissolve the boundaries between nationalities and peoples. I dissolve xenophobia all over the world. I am filled with the energy of mercy and compassion for every living being. And now I am ready to send this wave into the world and the universe. Gather this wave in your heart. A wave of the energy of peace, love, and compassion. Join your hands in front of your heart in a namaste. Palm to palm, so that there is empty space between your hands. And now breathe out from your heart into your hands. Exhale and fill the space between your palms with energy. Let them be filled with this vibration of love and light. Recreate this feeling of love and joy. Rub your palms together really hard. And as you exhale, explode this energy of vibration, happiness, and joy. Wave around you and send it to every corner of the world, the Earth. And feel the response from the world. Open your eyes, my dear, my good friends. You are always loved. You are always under God's protection. God is always in your heart. He is always with you. And no evil force can break this connection. No evil force is capable of spoil your destiny. Take away your soul. Your soul is your primordial energy and strength. She is always with you. Your free will is stronger than any will of any demon, any entity, any sorcerer, any liar who claims that you are victims, that you are weak, that you have no say in this world, that everything has been decided for you up there. That is nonsense. Because only you are the creators of this life. It's only up to us, to all of us, to the people. Collective responsibility for the fate of humanity. And no one else is responsible for this. Aliens are helping with all their might. Spiritual beings are also helping. Angels, archangels, what we call gods, though they could also be aliens. But in the true light, only from your soul does this light flow and is born. Don't wait for the quantum shift to come from the heavens. It won't come from there. Because the quantum shift comes from the hearts. This is where it is born. This is where it unfolds, like the activation of a new consciousness. No, there isn't a specific date. Don't believe those who say the next stage will be this and that. There will only be what you allow to be from here, from your consciousness and from your soul. Only what you accept as reality will become relevant for you. That's how vibrations work. If you send gratitude and love into the world, that's what you receive. This is an absolute law that I didn't come up with. It simply exists. And you can talk as much as you want, oh Yuri, if you're sharing information that doesn't match what we've seen in some public posts or tales about a flood 200 years ago, sure, believe whatever you want. But you need to understand that, yes, someone will turn away from me upon hearing that. I do not support these false theories. Someone will turn away because they will think, oh, I just made it up, that this is right. And that's it. But I want to say that it doesn't matter what exactly you believe in. It doesn't matter. What I specifically believe is not important. What matters is that this is the last key I want to give you. The key to enlightenment, the key to discerning any information on the internet, which is very relevant right now, is how not to fall into traps. What's important is the benefit, the practical benefit. This information is meant for you personally. What practical benefit do you personally gain from each of my broadcasts? That's what matters. Because you can say all sorts of nonsense, anything that pops into a sick imagination. But that benefit is key, what matters. Even if you don't believe me, even if you doubt everything I say, even if you have a different opinion, that's okay. And let it be so. I won't try to convince you. But what's important is not that we may have different opinions. The most important thing is benefit. Are you extracting it from my broadcasts? If you watch my broadcasts stupidly, without going into details, in trying to be aware, you'll gain some benefit, but it will be small. So try to be aware. Rewatch the old broadcasts. Many times, rewatch my broadcast called Sacred. There are truly total sacred knowledge there. There were broadcasts with Shiva. There were broadcasts with other extraterrestrial civilizations. A lot. Look at the past ones. spread this information. Because my main task is the benefit that I bring to you. I don't care how much in donations I receive, how much money I get. I am very grateful for that. And I'm very glad that you appreciate it and thank me. I am very grateful to those who come to the courses. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is where we are all moving collectively. And it depends on you. It's not because someone predicted or conjured something. Thank you all for this broadcast. I believe that the vibration of my heart has touched you. I will be waiting for you at my next broadcasts. And maybe we'll meet someone in person at the retreat. Until we meet again, friends.